Good morning, Craig. Welcome back to Climb.
Thank
You
you
have a
very
guest
much.
with you. You have a guest with you this morning, Joe Daughtry. Joe, I met you a couple weeks ago at Diversify RX's
Yes.
Pharmacy Profit Summit. Welcome to Climb, Joe, for your first time.
Thank you.
Craig, go ahead and do an introduction for Joe. So he's a client of yours, and let us know more about Joe.
Joe has been a client of ours for a number of years. He's a very successful pharmacist and pharmacist owner. He's out of Missouri. His pharmacy store is Stanley's Pharmacy, and I think that he is exceptional among pharmacists. He is among RX Cherry Pick clients. He is right there in the pack. I'll sort of let Joe say hello and his thoughts of enlightening everybody about what he does for his pharmacy.
Hi, I'm Joe. I own Stanley's Pharmacy in Marshfield, Missouri. I met Craig and John, the RX Cherry Pick boys. My gosh, it's been 8 or 9 years ago. It's been
Really?
It's been a while.
Wow.
Kind of, puttering along like all the other pharmacists were, looking at your checkbook and, worrying about cash flow, and met you guys. And, I was playing the rebate game and, wondering what my true cost was, and had a lot of worries. Met you guys. We hooked up and started ordering from you guys right away. And it made it so much easier. But before that, I was doing the, like everybody else was doing. I had 15 different little mini wholesalers calling me throughout the day, and I'm trying to, fill tons of prescriptions and look and see what my cost was on the sticker on my shelf, and compare their prices. And the Cherry Pick platform just became so easy because we do a perpetual inventory. So I just generate my order every day. I upload it to the Cherry Pick platform. It separates it out, and it's literally, my ordering process is 20 minutes a day. It takes so much time off of me. And before I was able to use this platform, if I was gone, say on vacation or at a conference, no one was doing that. They were just ordering from the primary, and no one was checking prices, things like that. So it's just become really easy. I've got a couple of technicians that are trained to do this for me. So, when we were all down in Dallas a couple of weeks ago to Diversify RX, I wasn't worried about the ordering. It was getting taken care of, and cash flow's good. A lot of headaches taken away, and sometimes it feels like a piano was taken off my back, when you look at your bank account and you've got a little bit of cash there, and you're not worrying paycheck to paycheck, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, did my is my Caremark check showed up yet? I'm checking the mail. Somebody needs to go to the post office, and that kind of thing. So it's kind of where we're at.
So Joe, thanks again for joining us. And
Sure.
you and I talked when we were down together at Diversify RX's summit, and cash flow, of course, I think everybody in business knows about cash flow as they've experienced it. Even as we were laughing earlier, even Jeff Bezos at one point in his career probably knew about cash flow in the early days of Amazon. I know I did. And I know that, in the early days of RMS, that was, I was dialing for dollars. I was looking, where am I going to pay? How am I going to pay this bill?
Yeah.
And there's nothing like that kind of stress. Financial stress is one of the worst things most stressful things that people can go through. So you made this change. How fast was the impact? I mean, what was the impact?
The impact was very quickly. Within 6 to 8 weeks, I had cash flow. Good cash flow. I knew it was upfront, very transparent. I wasn't, I knew what I was paying. I'm comparing that to my, post rebate prices to my primary. I was still getting so much better deal from Cherry Pick. Plus dating, which is crucial, absolutely crucial. I can't, wait for an insurance check to come in 6 to 8 weeks when I've got to pay my drug bill in 3 days. That's a big impact. So having that dating, able to build some cash flow, and it was very rapid. I mean,
Speaking of dating then, so
yeah,
what additional dating are you getting?
we're getting 30 to 45 days.
Huge difference.
Where we're ordering from. Am I
Yeah.
allowed to say that, Craig?
Yeah, actually, the founder of our company, John's going to kill me because we're working on a deal right now to push a company out to 60 days.
Yeah. How huge is that?
Oh yeah.
We're always
Right?
working on it.
Massive. Yes.
No, absolutely. That's a giant difference,
I mean,
especially when you consider it, like, compare it to 3 days or a week, which I think most people are used to.
You go to your primary and say, can you give me a couple extra weeks? They're like, yeah, okay, 20%.
Yep.
I can put it on a Visa card for that.
So cash flow, and I think this is, cash flow is, people talk about profitability being important. And they're focused on that. Well, what's my margin and what's my percent margin and so forth. But ultimately you can be profitable and fail as a business.
Yes.
Cash flow is the number one cause of failure. You got this extra cash flow, and what did this do to you mentally?
Oh, it's big. I mean, you're not waking up at 3 a.m. wondering, getting up and checking my bank account, wondering, am I going to have enough money to make payroll, or can I pay my drug bill? And then it clears up your mind to think outside of working in your business, gives you that state of mind where you can start working on your business. I'm not worried about day to day. I'm going down at Diversify RX, getting all these ideas, and I can come back and I can start implementing those things and not worrying about cash. And I just think it just, not that you couldn't if you are worrying about cash, but if you've got that out of your mind where you can actually think about something else besides, did the checks come in the mail? Did my deposit go in? That kind of thing. I think that's huge to free up your mind to be able to come up with some creative ideas to expand your business.
Yeah. And, and I think, right after this, I'm bringing on Robbie Stokes, from Lifeline RX Solutions. I know Craig, you know Robbie. I think Joe, you know Robbie as well, I believe. But he and I are going to be talking about managing your business. One of the things we're going to talk about is managing your business using data. And I think that's something that happens when, I know back when I think of the early days of RMS, when I was able to start not worrying about cash flow, and was able to then actually look at reports and start managing my business based on the data that was in front of me. And I think so many pharmacists, I listen to the pharmacists and they're too busy and they say, I just don't have time to look at these reports. But these reports are, looking at what products sell, what products don't sell, what is returning some money on their investment in inventory, that's huge. And so can you speak to, that's one of the things that I would say I would expect that it gives you the time to do then, is to actually start looking at the reports in your system to make business decisions.
Yes. So one of the things that we just did, it really has taken off for us. So when we were down there, they were talking about drug nutrient depletion. And we had kind of touched on that a little bit. We were going with a company. I don't know if am I allowed to mention company names?
Sure.
Solutions RX, guy out of Mississippi, Chris Corneliuson, has a line for drug nutrient depletion. We had bought some of his stuff. We really hadn't pushed it that hard. After being down there and listening to what people were doing and getting ideas, immediately came back. Last week, we started pushing it hard, engaging our patients. We, in 5 days, last week, Monday through Friday, we doubled all of July's OTC profit in 5 days. Just because, I've got that, mind's clear, cash flow's good. I can think about other ideas, push these ideas, and, something like that's going to happen. So that's just one idea, I got from one conference. So we've got that one flowing. Now I can move on to the next one. Robbie's another guy that I talked to, and I think he and I are probably going to have a meeting here before too long too. So yeah, so you can start looking at other things, looking at your KPIs, and paying attention to those things that are crucial.
Right. I'm actually I just finished an article for America's Pharmacist magazine. It's actually a CE credit. And in that, it's about the importance of your front end and regardless of the size, and the things that you should be doing in your front end. And there's a section I talk about, looking at data. And while I can't share the tables that I'm gonna until after this article's published, which I will do in a future climb, but I have real store data, and it shows. If you look at it, just looking at the gross profit, you'd think that there are two departments that look like they're doing great just by gross profit. But then when you look at inventory turns and the even more important number, gross margin return on investment, if you were just going by what's contributing dollar profit, you would go, these are the best, and I don't have a problem here. I have a problem elsewhere. But when you look at that gross margin return on investment, you go, wow, I've got so much money tied up in inventory on these that doesn't sell, that these are my two worst performing departments as opposed to my two best performing departments. Looking at the numbers, the right numbers, makes a giant difference, and having the time to do that, that's huge. So
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit too, because we talked about. I think I was intrigued to take a line here with, mentally it vastly improved things, and what is that doing for your staff, and what do you do for your staff?
Oh, it takes a lot of heat off my staff when when you don't come in and I'm just pissed off all the time, and so I'm able to, like I say, I'm able to treat them. We were talking earlier about we go to a nice big Christmas dinner. They get their Christmas bonuses, and I consider more team building events. I want them to look at each other as one big team, kind of as a family. And if you come to work and there's not that friction and not the backbiting that a lot of people have, your staff's just better. They're going to take care of your patients better. And then we do something in the spring. We call it Stanley's Night Out. We'll go and do something. This year we went and just went out to eat and went bowling, had a few drinks, hung out as a team. And then a couple weeks ago, they were all over at my house. I grilled out for them. Two of the events are usually just the Christmas and the Stanley's Night Out is just for the big kids. No kids involved. I'm like, hey, this is non-pressure time. It's just for the adults. We're going to go out and have a good time. And then, usually cook out at my house. They bring the kids over and we get in the pool and have a good time. And I don't know, it just makes us more of a cohesive unit. So when we're here at the store, obviously being a business owner, I get pissy from time to time. That's just part of the game. If you don't, and you're a business owner, if you're just, Mary Poppins time all the time, you're probably not running a good business. So, there's sometimes you got to be a little stern and the techs know that that's going to happen from time to time, but I'm going to get over it and we're going to mow on to the next thing. And it's not just going to be them coming to work and dreading coming to work because, I'm going to be pissed off all day worrying about one thing to the next. So I think that's big as far as running a business and being a team.
Right, and you mentioned team because I think that really is what it's about, and people forget that turnover, the training, the amount of time and money it costs every time you lose somebody. The productivity that gets reduced, the time you have to spend training. And if you don't train, it's even more expensive because, right? Because now you're not providing the service levels that the patients and the customers have started to expect. I think back as well from the early days when with RMS that I was an ass most of the time. Was when I was down for dollars, when we were struggling for cash flow, we were profitable.
Yeah.
but but
Can't spend what you have.
some things were getting paid slowly on our side from the customer, and then I don't have enough capital to and
Yeah.
we're growing fast, and you're just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And you tend to take it out on the people that are right around you, right?
Yeah.
So um, the let's talk training for a little bit. The importance of that and what you're doing there, and um, can you talk a little bit about that?
As far as training staff, there's not much I have to do with the staff that I have. The newest member to my staff has been with me a year. She's been in the tech business for 20. I picked her up from a pharmacy that sold to Walgreens in another town. Really, my only turnover is, a high school kid or somebody like that comes in, does deliveries for me, and then they graduate and go on to college. As far as training my other staff, it's pretty easy. The one that's besides the new one that I mentioned, the next closest one has worked for me for 15 years. It's like 15, 17, almost 20 years, are my three, long time. And then I've got a couple part-timers that come in that have worked for me for a while, just work for me here and there. But as far as training, like the new tech that came in about a year ago, everybody, every pharmacy does it different. The other techs kind of took her under their wing, and this is kind of how we do things. And, I pull them aside and say, this is the way I want you to do it. I talked about the vitamins, what I did, as far as it didn't take much training as far as that went, as selling the vitamins. I put together a script that we had a meeting, and I said, this is the script that I want you to go by. And it's really, when you don't have that turnover, the training's really not that hard. I was able to,
Right.
It's just like you say, the training is, if you constantly have turnover and people don't know what they're doing, it takes so much of my time and so much of, my lead tech's time. It's just, so we just don't really have those training issues as far as that goes. If we bring in a new program, we'll have a meeting about it. This is how I want you to, go about it. This is the script. I can just kind of type something up and give them exactly how I want them to do it. We'll practice. We'll do a little bit of role play. But that's pretty much it. Yeah, I don't, the last major training thing we had to do is OS systems 13, and we did that all together. So we learned on the fly together. So that's trainings when we don't have the turnover is not that big of an issue.
Yeah. Okay. And that makes sense, right? I mean, that's part of it. And I'm sure there's a lot of pharmacies out there that are going, geez, I wish I didn't have this problem of turnover. But I think, that you hit some important points, and it's being able to treat your employees respectfully, setting the expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things you did at the beginning, right? Those are things that they know. So everybody knows that. I mean, we all get frustrated. We all get angry. But and you have to make corrections in business. Right. So, and if you've set the expectation that, hey, we're a team and we're going to do this together, and somebody's done something wrong, they should expect a correction, and they won't take it personally. If you don't, as long as you don't make it personal, and they'll learn, and you go right back to being a team again. And I think that's a very important point. I think I see a lot of pharmacies, when I go into pharmacies and evaluate what's happening, and I listen and I watch, there's not that cohesive teamwork. And I think a lot of the time I'll ask the question, well, how often do you have meetings? Never. How often do you do training? Well, on the spot. There's not like a program. And of course, in your case, you've had these people for a long time, so there doesn't have to be just a program. I mean, if you have turnover every week or every month or every year, you're going to have a program.
Yeah.
But the program really should be the things that you've talked about already, I think. And that's, I think, what I've seen in my time, in the years and years and years I've been doing this and been in
Yeah.
around pharmacy, which is my entire life. That's what I've seen from successful pharmacies as well. Craig, do you have any thing that you'd like to add or ask,
I don't
talk
think
about?
so. I think you pretty well covered it. I think it's interesting to listen from a pharmacist perspective of, again, tying it back to cash flow and working capital, of the stability that Joe provides not only for himself, but his employees, but also it extends out to his community. Think of people who come to his pharmacy and they're seeing people that they've seen for over a decade. I mean,
Right.
the feeling of safety, that's what it allows him to do.
No, absolutely. Joe, you have any, I think I've seen that myself over the years too. So do you want to just comment on that?
Oh yeah. It's, there's not a person that comes in here that someone in the pharmacy doesn't know or doesn't live next to or went to high school with, or or his cousin with, or it's, yeah, having the people here that long. When people come in, everybody, we know who everybody is, and they love that. They talk to him by name. Hey, how's your daughter doing? Heard she's in school, off of college. How's she doing? This, that, so it's a big deal to have that lack of turnover and have long-term staff that it kind of goes back to a few years ago. I started really thinking about future, and I'm 47 now, and I thought, my wife's a pharmacist too, but she doesn't work with me. She's works for Walmart. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. But I got to thinking about what would happen if something happened to me. What would happen to the store? So that's, when you talk about training, I kind of had several staff meetings. Like, I want you to be able to, if tomorrow something happened to me, that Stanley's Pharmacy survives, where we could bring in any pharmacist and you guys can run the show, and all they have to do is check prescriptions. You don't need me. This pharmacy doesn't need me anymore. My staff can run the show because I've kind of emboldened them to take care of things without me, and that's been a big help, for me, psychologically, and thinking down the road that if something happened to me, that my family's still taken care of, because my staff, they consider this their home, and they can run it. They don't need me.
And what a terrific place to be. And I would encourage, I'm sure you would encourage everybody listening to this, that's a question you need to ask. And if you're not there, what is it going to take to get there?
Yeah.
You're not going to get there overnight. If you're not there now, you're not going to get there overnight. And if you are there now, then you've had an approach that's is allowing this. But I would say don't be discouraged if you're not there now, but it's probably the single most important question, because it will get you, if you start answering that question and put the processes in place, it'll get you there. And what a great place to be, because now you can go golfing on a day and know that everything's getting taken care of. Exactly. We were joking earlier that you like to golf in Scotland, I believe, right? Yeah. So Craig was saying, I don't know any other pharmacist that goes to Scotland to go golfing. So
lifetime, man.
But that's an important part too. And that's a stress reducer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Joe, I really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man, and we are about at our time limit as well. So I think it's been great. Craig, as always, it's a pleasure to have you. And Joe, it was terrific hearing from a pharmacist, from a business owner, how things are working in your business, the things that are working, the things that have made a difference. I hope I'm sure our viewers will appreciate that and there's some great takeaways here. So thanks again, Joe, for being involved with Climb. And Craig, as always, thank you.
It was a pleasure.
I'll be back here shortly with Robbie Stokes.
All righty. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
See you,
Thanks.
Craig. See ya.